Hi, Wyatt. Do you want to read a book with me? Today I have Friends from the Other Side, Amigos del Otro Lado. I'm only going to read it in English, even though it is in Spanish too, because I'm not that good at Spanish anymore. This is a story by Gloria Anzaldúa. Gloria. We're going to call her Gloria. And you know what? This book is older than I am. It's more than 30 years old. Friends from the Other Side. This is a note from the author, Gloria. I grew up in South Texas, close to the Rio Grande River, which is the U.S.-Mexican border. When I was a young girl, I saw many women and children who had crossed to this side to get work because there was none in Mexico. Many of them got wet while crossing the river, so some people on this side who didn't like them called them wetbacks or mojados. This is a story of Prietita, a brave young Mexican-American girl, and her new friend Joaquin, a Mexican boy from the other side of the river. Prietita was sitting on the thick, low branch of the mesquite tree in the backyard when Joaquin came to the gate of her house to sell firewood. Prietita wondered why he wore a long-sleeve shirt when it was so hot that most boys went shirtless. "Did you come from the other side? You know, from Mexico?" asked Prietita, having noticed that his Spanish was different from hers. "Yes," answered Joaquin, keeping his head down, a chunk of limp blue-black hair falling over his forehead and his face. His skinny fingers kept pulling his sleeves over his wrists. When he bent to lift up the cord of wood, Prietita noticed the large boils on his forearms. She realized that he was ashamed of the sores. She thought about the herb woman and her healing powers, but before she could say a word, Joaquin hurried away with his head down. Prietita heard some of the neighborhood kids yelling and went through the gate to see what was happening. "Look at the mojadito! Look at the wetback!" called out her cousin Tete. "Hey man, why don't you go back to where you belong? We don't want you any more mojados here," said another boy. Prietita felt her body go stiff. She had known Tete and his friends all her life. Sometimes she even liked Tete, but now she was angry at him. She felt pulled between her new friend and her old friends. When one of the boys bent and picked up a rock, Prietita ran in front of Joaquin. "What's the matter with you guys? How brave you are, a bunch of machos against one small boy. You should be ashamed of yourselves." "What's it to you? Who asked you to butt in, Prietita?" said Tete. "Shoo, Tete, let's go," said another, pulling his arm. The boys walked away, taking their time, acting as though they had chosen to leave. Prietita and Joaquin stood looking at each other. "They won't be bothering you anymore," said Prietita. "I really appreciate your help," Joaquin said, bowing slightly from the waist and sounding very grown-up. "Thanks a lot." Then, looking into Prietita's eyes, he said, "I was scared." Prietita stared at her foot, making circles in the dirt. "I know," she said. "Come on, I'll walk you home." They came to a tumble-down shack with one wall missing. In place of the wall was a water-streaked tarp. "Mama," Joaquin called out, "we have a visitor." Come in," said a small woman with a tired face and damp hair. She lifted the edge of the canvas to let them in. "Would you like something to eat?" "No, thank you," said Prietita, sitting on a straw mat that covered a dirt floor. She saw pride in their faces and knew that they would offer a guest the last of their food and go hungry rather than appear bad-mannered. The woman said, "We had to cross the river because the situation on the other side was very bad. I couldn't find work, and Joaquin was in rags." "It's the same on this side," said Joaquin, squatting on the dirt floor. "If only we could find real work instead of the occasional odd job in exchange for food and old clothes." "I'll tell the neighbor women about you. Maybe they'll have some work," said Prietita. She stayed a while and then said, "I have to go do my chores now. Joaquin, please bring some wood tomorrow and see if you can stay and play with me." The next day, Joaquin came to the gate again. Prietita asked him to give her a push on the tire swing hanging from the gnarled mesquite tree. He returned the next day and the next. Prietita always saved some of her lunch and put it in a paper bag for him. She would leave it by the gate to lessen his shame for being poor. When Joaquin felt less shy with her, she would take him to the herb woman and have her cure his sores. One afternoon, while Prietita and Joaquin were playing a Mexican card game called Loteria, a neighbor woman arrived out of breath. "The border patrol's coming," she shouted. "La migra!" Joaquin jumped out of his seat. "You know they'll check the old shacks. They'll find my mother and take her away." Prietita and Joaquin ran to get his mother. When they reached the shack, Prietita said, "Hurry, come with me." All three of them ran into the street. "Where can we hide?" asked Joaquin. Prietita took his hand and felt it tremble. The herb woman will know what to do, she said, leading him through the streets of the little town as his mother followed close behind. When they entered the herb woman's house, they saw that she was already drawing the curtains. Joaquin, she said, you and your mother go hide under the bed and don't make a sound. From behind the curtains, Prietita and the herb woman watched the border patrol van cruise slowly up the street. It stopped in front of every house. While the white patrolman stayed in the van, the Chicano migra got out and asked, does anyone know of any illegals living in this area? Prietita and the herb woman saw a couple of people shake their heads and a few others withdraw into their houses. They heard a woman say, yes, I saw some over there, pointing to the gringo side of town, the white side. Everybody laughed, even the Chicano migra. As the van approached their house, Prietita and the herb woman held their breath, but the van drove on without stopping. 2 hours after the border patrolman had left, Prietita, Joaquin, and his mother were sitting in the herb woman's kitchen, quietly sipping peppermint tea and recovering from their fright. Prietita, Joaquin, come, said the herb woman. Let's go gather some herbs. Prietita, I'm going to show you how to prepare these herbs in a paste you can use to heal Joaquin's arms. It's time for you to learn. You are ready now. The end. Okay, Wyatt, I love you so much. Thank you for reading a book with me. I'll see you soon.